What we're going to do is move ahead with the program. I mentioned earlier that we had a special award presentation today, and this is an award that the Council presents to an individual who has been instrumental in either the public or private sector in raising the public-private partnerships bar in Canada. CCPP's annual Champion Award recognizes an individual whose leadership has made truly a lasting impact on public-private partnerships in Canada. And over the years, we have honored 18 individuals as champions. And we're making an excellent addition to that list today. I'd like to acknowledge John Beck and Michael Wilson again, both previous P3 champions who have kindly joined us at lunch today. And now I'm very pleased to invite the chair of the council, Mark Bain, who will be presenting the Champion Award. Please welcome Mark to the podium. This one.
Thank you, Mark. The Champion Award is the highest award the Canadian Council accords and is reserved for a person that stands out as a leader in moving P3s forward. Today we're honoring the 2017 P3 champion, Bert Clark, currently the President and CEO of the Investment Management Corporation of Ontario, and better known to this crowd probably as the former President and CEO of Infrastructure Ontario. Bert's had a distinguished leadership track record in business and a strong commitment to public service. It was his determination to create partnerships between the private sector and governments that made him one of the most influential driving forces in the infrastructure investment industry. In the private sector, Bert was a key player at Scotia Capital as the managing director of the Global Infrastructure Finance Group and was also previously a lawyer at Osler, Hoskin and Harcourt here in Toronto. At Infrastructure Ontario, Bert demonstrated strong leadership skills, first as a senior vice president and then as chief executive officer. Bert was the very first employee at IO, rose to lead the 500-person organization, and influenced the pipeline of projects for almost a decade. He made public policy and set market standards by appearing before committees at the House of Commons, at Queen's Park, speaking at events including with the Council of Federation. At IO, his values, work ethic, and intellect made him a key contributor during capacity-building initiatives with the National Governors Association, World Bank, and International Monetary Fund. He also served on the board of the Canadian Council. Ontario has been noted by others, including the US, UK, and Australia, as a world leader. That internationally recognized success in infrastructure and acceptance of the AFP model at home are direct results of Bert's leadership. So, ladies and gentlemen, I know I speak for our National Awards panel of judges, my fellow board members, and the many firms that have bid AFP projects while he was IO President and CEO, that Bert is a true P3 champion. So, ladies and gentlemen, please join me in welcoming to the stage Bert Clark to accept the Canadian Council for PPP 2017 Champion Award. And we have a little something for you. Congratulations. We're going to take a picture. Go together. No, I'm just kidding. There we go.
Thank you. Good afternoon, everyone. It's a pleasure to be here. I'm honored to receive this year's Champions Award, and I want to thank the awards panel for recognizing this distinction. Of course, you never win these awards without having been part of a great team. And I was privileged to work with an incredibly group of people at Infrastructure Ontario for over 5 years. Some of them are here today, and I want to thank them. It's an organization made up of talented, determined people who bridge the public and private sectors, and they make important projects happen. And I thoroughly enjoyed all of my years working with them. I also want to thank the various governments in Canada who had the courage over the last 10 years to abandon the old ways of doing things and to launch ambitious infrastructure programs using modern delivery techniques that leverage private capital and expertise. These governments had to overcome bureaucratic inertia and a fair amount of ill-informed and ideological opposition along the way. They deserve real credit for pushing ahead with those projects, and good ideas are not always easy to implement. Some take real courage and perseverance, and they all deserve credit. Today, I think it's fair to say that the Canadian infrastructure market is one of the strongest in the world. We have a well-regarded and efficient model that's produced very impressive results. These projects have a direct impact on people's lives. They include hospitals and transit, roads and schools. And there's also an incredible industry that's been built up to service those projects, to bid them, build them, finance, and operate them. We see it here today. Those are accomplishments everyone in this room can claim to be part of. They make Ontario more livable and our economy more competitive, and we all ought to be proud of the work we've done over the last decade. That said, I think there's still a considerable amount of work to do. The public transit program is just heating up, and there are entire sectors that I don't think have been addressed in any real way. I'm thinking of things like affordable housing, long-term care, military housing, and First Nations infrastructure. I think there's also work to be done to make sure we're building the infrastructure of the future, and we're leveraging technology to make sure that we're optimizing the existing infrastructure. I want to thank all of you again. I very much look forward to seeing great things ahead for Canadian infrastructure. Thank you.
Good to see you. Thanks, Bert. A truly worthy choice of this year's Champion Award. We have another special award program to acknowledge this year, the third annual Women's Infrastructure Network Leadership Awards. The Council is a proud supporter of the WIN Group and its more than 1,000 members across the country. These are talented professionals whose participation on boards of directors and positions of influence across a broad spectrum of disciplines have been instrumental to Canada's P3 success story. I'm delighted that Vicki Turnbull, Managing Director and Co-Head Infrastructure Finance at RBC Capital Markets and Co-Chair of the WIN Steering Committee, is here with us to recognize this year's recipients of the WIN Awards. I'm pleased to invite Vicki to the stage.
Good afternoon. Thank you, Mark. And we thank the Council for everything, and Mark particularly for what you do for WIN. The Women's Infrastructure Network is a dynamic forum designed for women in infrastructure to facilitate connections and networking, exchange ideas, and to help shape the infrastructure agenda in Canada. It has been active at our conference for several years, and we want to acknowledge the network's contributions to the industry and the women who distinguish themselves as leaders in P3 and infrastructure space. WIN hosted its third annual WIN Leadership Awards on April 26th of 2017 in simultaneous events in Toronto, Ottawa, Montreal, Vancouver, Regina, and Calgary. Yes, we have representations and chapters in each one of those cities and looking to grow. We had over 30 emerging leader nominees and outstanding leader nominees were received. We would like to thank all the nominees and congratulate the 2017 winners, Marie-Liesse Marc, Vice President of Acquisitions and Asset Management for Vantage Airport Group Limited in the Emerging Leader category, and Jane Bird, Senior Business Advisor for Bennett Jones LLP in the Outstanding Leader category. The winners are here. I'd like them to stand up and be recognized. I'm not sure if they are here, but we would like to thank the women. By the way, nominations for 2018 WIN Awards are now being accepted. We're also taking sponsorship. It's an important part of our organization. We do everything through sponsorship. So please send your nominations to the address we have on the screen. Everything you need to know about the awards are on there. Sponsorship details as well. Thank you.